Well, safe to say it is not golfing weather. We had a big dump of snow last night, which has mostly gone now. Well, actually, no, it's turning to slush now. It's also foggy. It's also wet. So it is very much not a golfing day. It's Sunday. It was supposed to be the fifth round of Winter League this morning. The first two went ahead, which Brendan and I won both the first two. The third was cancelled for weather. The fourth was cancelled for weather. The fifth has now been cancelled for weather. So Winter League is not going particularly well, but it is genuinely impossible to see any course being open in these kind of conditions. I think we had 4 to 5 centimeters of snow overnight. It's not cold, so it's slushing, but everything's wet. The visibility is terrible. So no golf, or no on-course golf at least. So I'm going to go to the driving range instead and practice a few things. My last couple of rounds haven't been great, as I've mentioned, and in particular, my driving has been dreadful. So I need to work on that. I have, confession time, I have not followed some of my own advice, and in some of my quieter days over sort of the New Year period, I have gone down a little bit of a YouTube rabbit hole looking at certain things to work on. I will say, in my defense, I've basically been following one particular channel, one particular teacher, not bouncing around between methodologies, but I know that this kind of stuff can be a little bit damaging, and I've seen that firsthand before. However, I am a bit lost at the moment. It's been a few weeks since my last lesson. It's going to be another couple of weeks until my next lesson, and things just feel kind of out of whack. So I need something to cling on to, I suppose. I am considering going a little bit more down the online coaching route this year. I haven't made a firm decision yet. I'll keep that sort of on the back burner. I won't go into too much detail at the moment, but it is something that I'm toying with, just because I feel like I need potentially more frequent check-ins and perhaps even more detailed instruction and sort of going back to the fundamentals to some extent that I'm able to get with the lessons. My coach is great, and I'm planning to keep seeing him for sure, but it's quite a long way away. I can only go max every 2, maybe 3 weeks with work and life commitments, and ultimately I feel like there are some things that I'm just not doing, or that I haven't got in place on a really basic level, that perhaps a little bit more of a step-by-step online program might be able to help with. If I do that, I will detail it. I think it'd be interesting. It could be a disaster, but I think one way or the other it would be interesting for me and possibly for other people who are considering going down that road. So if I do it, I will detail it. I haven't made a firm commitment yet. It's just something that I've been toying with. Anyway, it's cold ish, it's very misty, but I'm going to go to the range for an hour or so. It just need to swing a club and kind of get some fresh air and stuff like that. So hopefully some of the stuff I'm working on will be okay. As I say, the main area of concern right now is my driver. I've completely lost confidence with it. So I think that's going to be a big focus over the next few weeks. I don't think it's likely there will be any on-course golf for at least a few days. I can't imagine the course being open anytime soon. We are supposed to have the next round of Winter League next Saturday, so fingers crossed things clean up in time for that, but certainly should be able to get other stuff done in the meantime, hopefully at least 1 to 2 more range sessions and other bits and pieces. So yeah, not off to the best of starts in terms of New Year golf, but I suppose that's to be expected in early January, and the snowfall was forecast, and I think the hopes of actually being able to get out today were pretty minimal in the first place. So no great surprise, but at least the range is open. So I will go and hit a few and see how things are feeling, and we will go from there. Right, it is Monday morning, just gone 6 a.m. As you can probably tell from the attire and the visible breath, very cold, very rainy, very miserable out there. But spirits are relatively high, or at least they will be when the energy drink kicks in. I am starting a new fitness regime program today. I have realized in the last few weeks, couple of months maybe, that some of my mobility limitations are absolutely impacting my golf swing, in particular to do with the tightness in my lower back and my hips. I have exercised for a long time. This isn't like I'm suddenly taking up exercise in January as a raging cliche or anything like that. As you can see, we have a sort of home gym in the garage, and I was a member of a gym for like a decade before that, and typically have been basically 5 times a week for most of a decade. But I wasn't really ever training for anything other than just sort of strength, aesthetics, and general fitness, really. It's a lot of resistance training, a lot of weightlifting, but most of it kind of static, compound lifts, but most of it, fairly static rather than anything truly dynamic. And also most of it very vertical, not a lot of rotational movement, not a lot of explosivity and that kind of thing, and really nothing in the way of mobility work. And that has definitely left me with sort of stiffness and back pain and neck pain, and I'm in like decent shape generally, I think, but it's not necessarily golf shape, and it's probably not what I actually need to be doing at this age, sad as that may be to say, but also if I do want to be swinging a golf club in the way that is sort of optimal, and I'm not really able to move my hips and torso independently and things like that. So I'm doing 2 things at once starting today. One is the Fit for Golf app from Mike Carroll, who some of you may know who that is, and who I've listened to on podcasts and watched some of his videos before, and it's got a very good reputation for golf fitness programs. So I've got his app, and I've also downloaded an app called Pliability. Truth be told, they found me on Instagram with their ads. It actually looks quite interesting. It's endorsed by a bunch of CrossFitters, some golfers, etc. And that is specifically a mobility program. And it looks really good. I haven't done the programs yet, but the app is very sleek. They've got lots of different programs in there. They do have some specifically for golf, which I will investigate. For now, I'm just doing the neck and shoulder pain relief program, because I do have a lot of problems with neck and shoulder pain. So I'm starting those things today. The Mike Carroll program, I believe, is 3 days a week. The Pliability back and neck and shoulder pain program is 2 days a week. So I will supplement that with some of the stuff that I was doing anyway, some cardio and whatnot. But that is the plan. I'm going to do, I think the Fit for Golf program is 8 weeks. And then the neck and shoulder thing is 2 weeks, after which I will move on to the golf mobility program. So lots going on. The hope is, as I say, to be able to get a little bit more dynamic in the workouts that I'm doing, and also definitely to get better range of motion through my hips. My lower body is very, very tight. My lower back is very, very tight, and I really need to improve all of those things. Not just for sort of, wanting to hit it longer, etc. But I really do have an issue right now where I'm trying to swing and I'm struggling to sequence properly because I can't disassociate my movement of my torso from my hips. I can't make a full shoulder turn. So I do think it's hampering me. So I'm looking forward to seeing what these things do. I'll try and track kind of as I go, but then potentially also do a sort of roundup video towards the end of the programs on how they performed and what I thought of them. So fingers crossed, and let's get to it. Okay, so it is Tuesday morning, just after 6 a.m. It is even colder than it was yesterday. So today I am starting another new regime. This is for mobility. Now my mobility is basically terrible. I've never done any kind of stretching practice, yoga practice, Pilates, anything, at least not with any degree of regularity or consistency. And funnily enough, it's led me to being very, very immobile. I have lots of restrictions, lots of things that don't move the way they should, or certainly don't move smoothly and freely. And in particular, I have a terrible time with my back, upper back and neck. Most of all, my neck is very, very stiff. It causes me to have quite a lot of headaches, including one right now and yesterday. So I'm going to actually commit to doing a mobility practice for at least a few months, if not for a long, long time and maybe forever. The reason I think this might be different than the last time is because I have better incentive and better motivation to do it, i.e. it will also help with my golf. On the golf front, the things that are holding me back are hip mobility, lower back mobility, very, very tight calf muscles. Those are the three which are the most relevant to my swing. Obviously overall mobility would be great, but I think those are the three that are causing me genuine issues at the moment. And then not being able to separate the movement of my torso and my hips, so I can't really rotate one without bringing the other along for the ride, which is not what we're looking for. So to that end, I am trying an app called Pliability. Now, this has been advertised pretty heavily at me. They obviously got their targeting bang on. Some of the golf influencers that I follow are promoting it. It's endorsed by a lot of the CrossFit gang who guide you through some of the workouts, and all I've done with it so far is I took the baseline mobility test yesterday, and I was actually really impressed. I thought the process was pretty good. You kind of just video yourself doing a squat with your arms overhead, and it looks at your the kind of degrees to which your arms can flex and your neck and your ankles and things like that, and gives you a score. And I'm sure it's not the most scientific thing in the world because it's done with, an iPhone camera in the space of 3 or 4 minutes. But actually it did a remarkably accurate job of diagnosing the weakest points of my body in terms of mobility as being the ones that I know for a fact that they are. So my right shoulder is terrible. Both my shoulders are bad. My right shoulder's bad, even worse than the left. My neck is very bad. And those are the things that scored the worst, whereas like my ankles are sort of fine, and those had a much higher score. So I was really impressed with the process. The app has got a very nice, slick, sort of modern interface. It looks like it's going to be a bit like a sort of Duolingo for your mobility, which is fine. I did Duolingo for a year and it was great, very well designed. So something like that for mobility, where it's slightly gamified, and obviously it tries to get you into the practice daily. There are certain paths you can go down, that's what they call them. So at the moment I'm doing the neck and shoulder pain path, which I think is just 2 weeks. Then you can do other ones for different parts of your body, or you can just do their daily mobility practice. It looks like, and as I say, I haven't gone fully into it yet, but it looks like the daily workouts take about 20 minutes. These neck and shoulder ones that I'm going to start with take about 10. So I'm going to do one now. I will take some footage if it's not too embarrassing. And then I'm going to stick with this for hopefully the long term. But what I'll do is I will check in a couple of times along the way, and then I'll sort of do a 30-day probably review of how it's going, and then maybe a longer term one as well, just to see if it's improved my mobility as far as golf swing goes. So I'm quite looking forward to it. I really, really need to get rid of this neck and shoulder pain. It's been a problem in my life genuinely for 20 years. I have to have massages or physio every few weeks just to keep the pain away. The headaches come with increasing regularity, and it's just uncomfortable to sort of go about life like this. As I say, obviously this is a golf YouTube channel, and so really I'll be looking at how this affects my golf and my mobility for swinging a golf club. And I think that motivation is the thing which hopefully will get me to stay the course this time around when I haven't been able to before. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to head to the driving range for probably when it opens. It's, as I say, very, very cold. I've got about 900 layers on. So mobility is going to be restricted even more than it would be on a normal day, but maybe that's a good thing. Certainly, I'm feeling just woken up. It's very early, it's very cold, and I've got a lot of clothes on. So if there was ever a time to test or improve my mobility, it's now. So yes, pliability day 1 starts now, and we will see how we go. Right, day 1, pliability, done. Good. It wasn't necessarily what I expected. It was more kind of semi-static stretching than I thought, but I guess I've not really done any mobility stuff explicitly in the past, so probably didn't really know what to expect. But yeah, nicely presented in the app. It did only take like 10 minutes, and I definitely feel looser than I did when I woke up, which, given the sub-zero temperatures and all the clothes and things, is no mean feat. So yes, that was day 1. This program for neck and shoulders, as I say, is only, I think, 2 weeks long, a couple of times a week. And then I'll probably move on to the introduction course, and then I'll probably do one of the specific golf courses, which might be the most interesting for this channel. So I will track it as I go, bit by bit, not every day, because watching me lie on the floor stretching is probably not the most exciting thing in the world, but I will track it as I go intermittently and check in, and then I'll do a sort of full roundup at the end. But yeah, enjoyed it. And as I say, definitely feel a bit warmer and a little bit looser, which hopefully will stand me in good stead for the driving range, which is where I'm going to head off to now. Well, this is a first. I am at the driving range and the lights aren't even on. It is basically pitch black here. The floodlights are on, but no one's here, and the actual bay lights aren't even on yet. So that's great. But I'm here now, so I'll try and make a go of it, have a warm up, see if the lights come on, and if not, hit in the dark, I suppose. Bit disappointing. It is bloody cold. But anyway, let's get warm and let's hit a few. Okay, that was a really stupid idea. I can't feel my fingers or my toes. They never actually turned the lights on at the range. No one was there, and not a great session, obviously, because I could barely move and everything hurt. I did actually manage to get a couple of things done drills wise that I'd been wanting to work on, working particularly on this stability in my lower body and turning kind of around with my hips rather than swaying and sliding. But it's hard to do anything meaningful or make any kind of progress on a day like this. I think lesson learned, probably, although the will is good to get out and practice, even when the weather's bad, actually probably did as much harm as good on a day like this. So probably discretion would have been the better part of valor. And I'm going to go home now and try and warm up. And I think lesson learned, really, when it's like -3 and the course is closed and the range isn't even lit up. Probably just do something like some mobility work or an additional workout or something like that, and come at a time when actually I can move my body properly. So not the most fruitful practice session, unfortunately. Home now, going to get to work, and then probably come out again tomorrow, not first thing in the morning. Okay, it is Thursday evening. It is about 6:30. I've just finished work and I'm going to head to the range. I can't quite believe how cold it is. The feels like temperature on my weather app is -8, and actually even holding this camera for this long is hurting my hands. So it may not be the longest session in the world, and it may not be the most productive session in the world, but I just want to try and keep in the groove, keep hitting. As I said a couple of times, I'm not wildly happy with where my game is at the moment, and there's definitely some things that I'd like to work on, obviously, but there's some specific things today. So ground contact is my focus today. When I was at the range a couple of days ago and doing some kind of standard tests as to, how my face contact was and how my ground contact and direction was. Ground contact was the thing that was the weakest of the three. It's actually quite hard to talk when it's this cold. Yeah, that is the thing that I'm going to work on today. I've got the divot board in the bag, and so I'll be using that and some of the drills from the Adam Young course, which I will link in the description. I've read his book, The Practice Manual, I think it's called, which is very good. And I also did his 8-week course a little while ago. So in that, he's got sort of modules on how to improve things like face strike and face direction and ground contact and path, etc. So I'm going to be using the ground contact stuff today. And then outside of that, trying to stick to the plan a bit, as I said in my 2025 goals video. I'm also going to be doing some pitching, so working on 50-yard shots and 75-yard shots. And then I'm going to throw in a little bit of driver work as well, because at the moment my driver is horrific and the thing that is damaging my scores the most. So that's the plan. It's so cold that I may not be able to get more than an hour or so's work in before my hands fall off. So we'll see how we go, and I will try and check back in on the other side, assuming I haven't actually frozen. Okay, I am just back from the range, just about have feeling in my fingers and toes, but yeah, really too cold to be out there. I think I did just over an hour before I thought my feet were going to fall off. I think it was good though, it was certainly fresh, and actually the session went relatively well despite the sub-zero temperatures. Some of the stuff I was working on with the ground contact drills was pretty good. I was able to work through some of the progression plan in terms of being able to hit my mark on the divot board at various sort of swing lengths relatively consistently. The way the plan works in the Adam Young course is essentially you just get increasing levels of difficulty from sort of 1 to 10. So I work my way up to kind of 5 on the ladder with ground contact, and then I'll pick up from there in the next session that I focus on that. And then otherwise generally feeling quite good about hitting sort of mid irons today. Pitching was really good, probably the best pitching session I've had at the driving range. Essentially my goal is to try and kind of gamify it a little bit. So there's a flag out at 50 yards and a flag out at 75 yards. And the idea is to try and get at least 7 out of 10 within a certain distance to both of those flags. And I think I got 8 out of 10 to the 50 yards, 7 out of 10 to the 75 yard. And even the ones that missed that distance really didn't miss by much. So pitching felt really good, good contact, good distance control. So that was gratifying. Unfortunately, the driver still continues to be a major issue. I've developed a searing two-way miss at this point. Previously, my miss with the driver was always right. So, just be either okay or a bit right, or on bad days, very, very right. And now I've developed the big right and also the big pull hook. So that is not good. I need to fix that very, very quickly, because frankly, even if everything else is working, if my driving is that bad and as bad as it has been the last couple of rounds, I simply can't play decent golf, and I certainly can't score well. So that is a big, still not quite warmed up, a big concern. I'm not sure if I'll get in another practice session this week. I have managed to get to the range 3 times, but it's the middle of the week now, quite a lot on over the next couple of evenings, and I am supposed to be playing on Saturday. It's supposed to be round 6 of Winter League, or round 6 of Winter League, because we had 1 and 2 and we've missed 3, 4 and 5. I think it'll go ahead. It's dry, the course is back open, but on temporary greens. And as everyone knows, temporary greens suck, but I suppose it's better than nothing. The forecast is basically the same between now and then. It's just seriously cold and frosty, but there is no rain forecast or anything like that. So the course is open now. I don't see why it won't be open on Saturday. It'll just be absolutely Arctic and probably a bit miserable. But hey, it's golf. So I may be able to get one more range session in between now and then. If not, I'll certainly try and get there a bit early to warm up, maybe to work on the driver a little bit, but certainly to physically warm up because it's going to be a cold one. What are we doing here? It is just after 7 a.m. on Saturday morning, and I'm about to go and attempt to play golf. Attempt being the key word there, which I'll come back to. It is -6 degrees outside, and yeah, I don't really know why I'm doing this. Well, I do technically, because it's Winter League. If this was just a standard round of golf, or honestly, even if this was just a solo competition, there is no chance I would be playing today in these conditions. But it's the 6th round of Winter League, but it's technically only the 3rd one that is going ahead, because 3, 4 and 5 were all cancelled because the course was too wet. But apparently it's fine to play in -6, so that's great. So yeah, there's no chance I'd be doing this if it was just me, but I don't particularly want to let my playing partner down. Although actually it doesn't even matter, because we won the first 2 rounds, so we will qualify for the match play portion anyway. So again, I'll come back to my first question, which is, what are we doing here? But there is a very real chance that I won't even get there. The roads in and out of the village have basically been frozen solid for the last few mornings and only thawed out by kind of lunchtime. So entirely possible, if not probable, that I won't actually be able to make it, or it won't be safe to drive. There have been plenty of cars skidding off the roads, landing in the hedgerows, etc. And frankly, that's not something that I want to start my weekend with. So I'll go out in a minute and have a look at what it's like, but there is a very real chance that I don't even make it at all, which I honestly wouldn't be that sad about, truth be told. If I do get there, hopefully I don't die on the course. I've got an Under Armour base layer, a thermal vest thing, a thermal long sleeve thing, and a jumper on, and a gilet if I need it. No, and a gilet, which I will need. And today my secret weapon is these, which are the Under Armour Cold Gear infrared gloves. So far in the winter, I've been using the wet weather FootJoy gloves, which are fine for gripping but aren't particularly warm. These are apparently thermoconductive, retaining body heat. I'll take whatever I can get, frankly. So that's the plan. This is madness. But yeah, I need to eat and then at least go and see if I can thaw the car out and what state the roads are in. So I'll check back in a sec. Right, made it. Wasn't too bad on the roads. It is proper winter wonderland vibes here. Everything is white and frosty and kind of beautiful if one wasn't about to stand in it for 4 hours and play golf. We will see. I think it'll be carnage. It's temporary greens. Everything's probably going to bounce like an ice rink. So not going out with any expectations of scoring. I think it's going to be one of those days to just watch the madness unfold and try and enjoy it and come out safely the other side. Okay, I take it all back. That was actually really fun. It wasn't necessarily golf as we know it, but it was very, very enjoyable in an extremely silly way. I said I was going to go to watch the carnage unfold, and it did. But yeah, good. I'm really glad I went. It actually warmed up slightly. The sun was quite high, and so it didn't necessarily thaw, but these kind of body temperature got warm fairly quickly. So it wasn't unpleasant to be out in. And actually, it was just very, very silly, very enjoyable, totally unpredictable round of golf. It was summed up, I think, by the very first hole where I pitched a kind of 80-yard shot, basically looked perfect, straight at the flag, front of the green, the temporary green, and it trampolined 100 feet in the air and then bounced and then went about 50 feet in the air and then bounced and then went about 30 feet in the air and ended up 50 yards long. So they set the tone pretty well. It was just one of those rounds where you genuinely couldn't care too much or to get too angry about anything. And we didn't. So we did okay. Brendan and I put up 40 points. I think we're 9th on the leaderboard currently. There are actually some fairly good scores given the conditions. So we didn't win, but we weren't kind of in the bottom placings either. As I said before, it doesn't ultimately matter as far as Winter League goes, because we won the first 2 rounds and because the next 3 were cancelled. We'll probably come top or top 3 regardless of the league phase, and we'll definitely make it through to match play. So it was a complete free hit and a very enjoyable one. I mean, temporary greens are terrible. Frozen temporary greens are terrible. It was no day to kind of judge any kind of quality of golf. Some of the good shots were punished by ridiculous bounces. Some of the bad shots were made better by favourable bounces. Brendan at one point quite literally hit one into a lake and it bounced off the frozen surface and landed on the green. So that's the kind of day we had, but really good fun. I'm glad I went out there. I'm glad I braved the conditions, and it was a nice, if rather ridiculous, way to end a fairly packed golfing week. So yeah, enjoyed that, and on to the next one.